You know, in today's world, it feels like chaos is the new normal. So why is it that some companies seem to ride the waves of disruption while others just get crushed by them? Well, it turns out the secret isn't luck. It's about building a permanent muscle for adaptation. Today, we're diving into a really powerful framework that came out of some deep PhD research, and it shows you exactly how to build that muscle in your own organization. Seriously, this is the question on every leader's mind right now. With constant shocks hitting us, from AI breakthroughs to sudden market shifts, what really separates the winners from the losers? It almost always boils down to one thing: the ability to adapt. But the real trick is, how do you build that capability? How do you make it part of your DNA instead of just, crossing your fingers and hoping for the best?
So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll set the stage and talk about what it means to survive digital disruption today. Then, we'll introduce the core concept, the adaptive capacity engine. After that, we'll see how it works in the real world, uncover the single most important insight from the research, and then we'll wrap up with some really practical advice on how you can start building your own engine.
Okay, first things first, let's get one thing straight. Digital disruption, it isn't a project. It doesn't have a start date and an end date. It's just the new normal. It's the air we breathe now, the environment we all have to operate in all the time. And this right here is the fundamental mindset shift we all need to make. We have to stop thinking about managing the next big change and start building a permanent capacity for change. You see, the disruption that's happening out there, that's just the trigger. The real work is building the internal machine that can handle it, and the next one, and the one after that.
And that brings us to the big idea from this research. The solution isn't some new piece of software or a one-off leadership retreat. It's a whole new kind of organizational model. One that's designed from the ground up specifically for resilience.
The ultimate goal actually has a name. It's called Disruption Adaptive Capacity, or DAC for short. The best way to think about it is organizational resilience. It's that ability to react to shocks, but to do it quickly and without all the chaos. It's about making smart decisions and constantly reinventing parts of the business without the whole thing falling apart. I mean, this is the gold standard we're all shooting for. But here's the catch, right? Just getting hit by disruption over and over again doesn't automatically make you better at handling it. It's like you don't build muscle just by having weights fall on you. You need an internal system, a process, to translate all that pressure into actual strength. You need an engine. And this is the engine itself, the Adaptive Capacity Engine, or ACE, and it runs on 4 absolutely critical pistons. Piston 1, leadership alignment. Are all your leaders singing from the same hymn sheet? Piston 2, cultural counter mechanisms. Basically, does your culture encourage people to speak up and challenge bad ideas, or does it enforce quiet compliance? Third, resistance to change routines. Do you have ways to actually listen to and manage resistance, or do you just try to bulldoze through it? And finally, Piston 4, digital resource primacy. Are your digital tools and data truly at the core of how you work, or are they just a fancy sideshow? For this engine to really work, all 4 of these pistons have to be firing. Okay, so theory is great and all, but does this engine actually work in the real world? Well, the great thing about this research is that it didn't just stop at the concept. It took this whole framework and applied it to 4 real companies that were navigating some pretty intense changes.
Let's just zoom in on one of them for a second. A company called Southland Corporation, or SLC. A senior manager there described their culture by saying, "We operate like a family." Now, that quote gives you a real feel for the place, right? It's supportive, it's very consensus-driven, but the question is, how does a culture like that actually help or hinder its ability to adapt?
This slide is so cool because it shows how the ACE framework is more than a theory. It's a diagnostic tool. We're just looking at one piston for SLC here, leadership. You can see the evidence for it. Sure, they do quarterly planning, but the analysis also uncovers these major gaps, like decisions constantly getting kicked back upstairs and big ideas getting watered down to please everyone. The result? A rating of just 3 out of 5. The piston is firing, yeah, but it's sputtering pretty badly. Okay, so after analyzing all 4 pistons across all 4 of these companies, one finding emerged that was way more important than any other. This is the secret sauce. This is what makes the engine truly powerful. And here it is. The single most important finding was this: it's not enough to just have the 4 pistons. What matters most is how they work together. The synergy, the integration of the whole system, is way more important than how well any single part is performing. I mean, you can have an amazing speak-up culture, but if your leadership isn't aligned, the entire engine is just going to sputter and stall. Let's actually visualize what this integration looks like. So at the lowest level of maturity, level 1, everything is disconnected. The pieces are all working in isolation. Leadership makes a big plan, but it has no connection to the cultural reality on the ground. Digital tools get bought, but they don't actually support new ways of working. It's all siloed, and you know what? Valuable lessons get lost every single time. Now, by the time you get to level 3, things are getting a lot better. There's a real conscious effort here to connect the dots. You can actually see a flow from sensing a change, to deciding on a response, to actually acting on it. Teams are using shared templates, there are regular review meetings, the pistons are finally starting to fire in a much more coordinated way.
And this right here illustrates the ideal state. This is level 5, exemplary integration. At this level, adaptation isn't some clunky project, it's a fluid, continuous process. The organization has clear rules for each phase, common tools are getting reused everywhere, and continuous improvement is just baked into the company's DNA. The engine isn't just running, it's humming along beautifully. And you know what? The results speak for themselves. The companies in the study with low integration, they were slow, they were fragmented in how they responded to change, but the companies with high integration, they achieved way better outcomes, and it didn't even matter what their specific strategy was. The real deciding factor wasn't what they did, but how well their internal engine was working.
All right, so you're probably thinking, this is great, but how can I actually start building or, tuning up the adaptive capacity engine in my own organization? Let's get into some practical guidance, and we'll break it down by role.
Okay, if you're a leader, your job is to create the right environment for this engine to run. That means you have to be the chief storyteller, constantly communicating the why. But it also means you have to actively seek out disagreement, make it a core part of people's job to raise concerns. And finally, be disciplined. You've got to limit how many changes you push at once, so you don't completely overload the system.
Now, if you're an internal practitioner, maybe you're in HR or you run a program office, think of yourself as the engine's mechanic. Your job is to build the scaffolding that makes it all work. This means creating clear metrics and decision points. But honestly, your most important job is coaching managers on the front lines, helping them model the new behaviors that make the entire system run smoothly.
And for any external consultants watching, here's a big mindset shift. Your goal shouldn't be to be the engine for your client, but to teach them how to build their own. Don't just deliver a slick PowerPoint deck, build their internal capacity. The best thing you can possibly do is leave behind a finely tuned engine, complete with custom tools and templates that keeps on running long after you're gone.
So we'll leave you with this final thought. The truth is, every organization has some version of this engine already. The real question is, how well is it running? Take an honest look at your leadership, your culture, your processes, and your tech. Are all 4 pistons really firing in sync? Or is it maybe time for a tune-up?